Stimulus checks have passed, and many people are already receiving their stimulus checks in their bank accounts as we speak. Plus, we're going to discuss the Cash Act, the benefits coming to Social Security beneficiaries, those on SSI, SSDI, and we're also going to cover what it's going to take in order to get the $2,000 stimulus checks out to the American people. What's going on, you guys? It's Ron here with your second stimulus check update and stimulus package update. I hope you guys are doing very well today. And as of yesterday, hundreds of thousands of Americans have already begun to receive their second stimulus checks of $600 for eligible adults and children. Yep, 600 bucks is already going out, and I've already started to receive hundreds of comments from you guys confirming that you've already received your $600. I'm actually so geeked just to, see you guys' comments. And in fact, I've actually seen several comments from families of 5 that are receiving $3,000 stimulus deposits, and I'm so happy to hear that for you guys. We've been working on this for months. I'm glad you guys have kept the faith and you guys have stuck with me. And also, by the way, if you're new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. My name is Ron. I cover all things personal finance, investing, how to generate multiple streams of income, and of course, stimulus check updates and stimulus package updates. So definitely subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you receive all sorts of notifications whenever I release new videos. So that'll definitely be helpful for you guys, because I also share lots of updates on local, city, and county level stimulus packages that are kind of hard to find. So, and if you're looking for any kind of local assistance, maybe with rent, local stimulus checks, definitely check the description down below. Lots of helpful links in there as well. But do me a favor, drop me a comment if you guys have already received your $600 stimulus check down below in the comments. And also, so that we can help everyone else who has not yet received their stimulus check. Let me know what bank you're banking with. Are you banking with Chase, maybe Bank of America, just so that we can see, what banks are a little bit faster in terms of getting the stimulus checks out already. I think that'll definitely help many of the viewers who have not yet received their stimulus checks, and they're just kind of wondering, okay, how long might it be for that direct deposit to actually hit their bank account? That'll be really helpful. And also, just out of curiosity, also, let the community know how much of a stimulus check you received. And keep in mind, this is just the first batch of direct deposits, and millions of Americans are actually still waiting on their second stimulus checks of $600 for eligible adults and children to hit their bank accounts. And the IRS and Treasury have said that they've already started to send out their first batch of checks in the mail. In fact, just last night, the IRS said that it started to distribute the checks via direct deposit. That we're seeing as of late evening yesterday, and they said that this process will extend into next week. And a lot of you guys have been asking me when you might be able to receive your stimulus check if you don't have direct deposit set up with the IRS. Well, the IRS has said that they're going to be mailing paper checks on December 30th, which is today, to people who don't have their bank account information on file with them. And many people have been asking about whether those who receive Social Security benefits or who receive SSI, maybe SSDI recipients, many of you guys have been asking whether or not you're going to receive stimulus checks as well. And here's a quick update from the IRS website. All right, so just jumping on the IRS website, it says here, payments are automatic for eligible taxpayers, so you don't have to do anything to actually get your stimulus check. Pretty much just kind of sit back, kick back, and wait on it. But it looks like payments are automatic for eligible taxpayers who filed a 2019 tax return, those who receive Social Security retirement, survivor or disability benefits, SSDI, railroad retirement benefits, as well as supplemental security income, which is SSI, and veteran affair beneficiaries who didn't file a tax return. And of course, the next question I often get is, who's actually going to get it? It says here generally that the U.S. citizens and resident aliens who are not eligible to be claimed as a dependent on someone else's income tax return are eligible for the second payment, which is good. Eligible individuals will automatically receive an economic impact payment up to $600 for individuals or $1,200 for married couples, up to $600 for each qualifying child. Generally, if you have adjusted gross income for 2019, up to $75,000 for individuals, and up to $150,000 for married couples filing joint returns, and surviving spouses, you will receive the full amount of the second payment. And of course, for filers with income above those amounts, the payment amount is reduced. All right, guys, so I really hope that that information helps you guys out a little bit in terms of, when you guys should be receiving your $600 stimulus checks that we've already got in the bag. So that's really, really good news for a lot of people. But of course, the next big question is, what about the $2,000 stimulus checks? Or more importantly, more specifically, the balance of the $1,400 that your boy Mitch McConnell has been pretty much keeping on lock. Now let's talk about what needs to happen in order to get the remaining $1,400 sent our way. So, all right, so first off, Bernie Sanders plans on delaying the bill that Mitch McConnell recently proposed yesterday, which provides a $2,000 stimulus check as an amendment to the $600 stimulus checks that have already gone out. And of course, probably the vast majority are still going out as we speak. And so if you've already received a $600 stimulus check, if this additional stimulus does pass, you would receive the difference of $1,400. Now, there are some very clear differences between the Cash Act that the Democrats introduced in the House, which provided $2,000 for beneficiaries or, recipients of SSI or SSDI and the many other forms of retirement benefits. But Mitch McConnell's proposal would maintain $600 as the stimulus payout for those who have not reached the age of 17, and it would provide nothing for adult dependents. Now, that's Mitch McConnell's deal. But Mitch McConnell's bill also repeals Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And I can pretty much already tell you guys that it's going to be a huge issue for Democrats. So good luck on that one, Mitch. And Mitch McConnell's bill also creates an election advisory commission to look into the 2020 election. There was a lot of funny business that President Trump was, complaining about during the election. So, that's in there. But the funny thing about this one is that Mitch McConnell released a letter just yesterday saying that he's asking Congress to re-examine the privilege that's created by Section 230. And I find this a little bit odd because, in his own proposal, he's straight up repealing Section 230, not just seeking a re-examination of it. So, in one statement, he's straight up repealing it, but in another statement, he's simply just kind of asking for it to be, re-examined. So maybe that's up for negotiation. Now, this could be a hint to, there being some degree of flexibility with this one. And that would be a very good thing, because, this would definitely be another red line in the sand, so to speak, for Democrats. And the last thing that we need is more Democrat-Republican disagreement because, those disagreements, all they do is block our stimulus checks from coming our way. So, if the Republicans and the Democrats can simply come to some kind of an agreement and, through negotiations, that would be very good news, at least in terms of roadblocks that would need to be passed in order to get the remaining $1,400 out to the American people in association with the $200 or $2,000 stimulus check. So, that would definitely be a very good thing. But the big question is, since the Cash Act has already passed in the House of Representatives, why can't we just force the Senate to vote on it and move on? Now, we know that President Trump is already on board with the $2,000 stimulus checks. In fact, it was his freaking idea that got us here. So the big question is, why do we have to wait for, good old Mitch to come on in and get this bill to the Senate floor for a vote? That's the big question, right? Mitch McConnell, he is and pretty much has always been the holdup for anything related to stimulus for the American people. So the biggest issue here is the way that the Senate works. So any senator can essentially propose an amendment to an existing bill that has been brought up for debate, but only the Senate Majority Leader, and in this case, it happens to be your boy Mitch McConnell, only he can actually bring a bill up for debate. So here lies the biggest problem. Your boy Mitch can essentially, block anything and everything from ever reaching the Senate floor whenever he happens to wake up on the wrong side of the bed, right? So now the rules of the House of Representatives are different than those rules in the Senate because you're not limited to just one person who's able to introduce a new bill to the floor for it to be voted on. Now, you could actually do a discharge petition and override that blockage, but unfortunately you can't do that in the Senate. And so that's why Mitch McConnell's name keeps coming up whenever anything reaches the Senate. You got to make sure that guy likes it, right? If Mitch McConnell doesn't like it, then you got a problem. So, now on the other hand, you got good old Bernie Sanders, and he can actually delay things by filibustering or, essentially by, proposing amendments, to existing bills that are up for discussion. Now, he can also essentially do this for as long as he wants to, and he can also submit a vote, but that's pretty much all he can do at this point. And we know that we pretty much have enough support to pass the $2,000 stimulus package that has already been passed by the House of Representatives that would have included $2,000 stimulus checks for adults, $2,000 stimulus checks for, children and dependents, and even $2,000 stimulus checks for adult dependents. Now, the good news is that we have politicians like, Bernie Sanders who are fighting for $2,000 stimulus checks on our behalf. But the problem is that, all he can really do is waste time and try to delay things through January 1st, which is New Year's Day. And of course, Congress would have to be, shut down for that day. It's a holiday and all that. And, then Congress would come back on Sunday and attempt to pass the NDAA, which would have a negative impact on the campaigning timeframes for the Republican senators that are actually supposed to be campaigning in Georgia this weekend. And I just checked my calendar, and this is the last weekend available for the Georgia candidates to campaign before the election takes place. Now this is such a game, you guys. It's unbelievably frustrating. You know, these guys are literally playing their own political games, and the American people are just stuck like, you know, monkey in the middle as they toss the idea of a $2,000 stimulus check back and forth during their own negotiations. But aside from the filibustering and just time wasting on bills or proposals that are brought up by Mitch McConnell, there's not much else that you can do within the rules of the Senate. Now, of course, you can issue what is called a cloture, but of course that's only for debate and delay tactics, which would only be useful on bills that have already been dropped to the floor by, of course, you guessed it, your boy Mitch McConnell. So essentially, Mitch McConnell, he stays or he remains the gatekeeper of all bills that would ever be brought to the floor of the Senate as long as he holds the title of Senate Majority Leader. So it will definitely be interesting to watch this thing play out. But hypothetically, if Mitch McConnell were to bring up the NDAA veto override, then Bernie Sanders is more than likely going to kind of, you know, try to delay this by filibustering this into the new year, unless that cloture vote takes place before that time. But keep in mind, it does require 60 votes in order to make that happen. But if it does happen, that would actually bring an end to Bernie Sanders filibustering, and that would actually open the gates for a vote on whatever bill that Mitch McConnell had brought to the floor. So that's pretty much where we are on this one. Now, essentially, the only person that can actually bring a bill to the Senate floor for a vote is Mitch McConnell right now. And it's almost like this guy has, you know, more power than the president, because if you think about it, you know, even though Donald Trump himself wants $2,000 stimulus checks to be voted on and, you know, passed by the American people, even he can't even independently make this happen. And even, you know, President Donald Trump must rely on Mitch McConnell to bring this bill to the floor for a vote. So I swear I've learned more about government in the last 9 or 10 months than I did all throughout school. And I'm willing to bet that 90% of Americans had no idea about all these different rules within Congress before stimulus checks, you know, hung in the balance, you know, in between congressional negotiations. Now, on the other hand, this does open the door for Mitch McConnell to submit his own $2,000 stimulus check bill onto the Senate floor for a vote. And of course, Bernie Sanders, he can jump in and propose, you know, new amendments just like we discussed previously, or he can even filibuster Mitch McConnell's bill. But, you know, the game changer would be the outcome of the Georgia runoff elections, which will be taking place next week. Now, here's why this is so important. If the Democrats can lock down, and, you know, comment down below, you know, let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the Georgia runoff elections. But if the Democrats can lock down the 2 seats that are currently up for grabs, then good old Mitch would be saying goodbye to his seemingly unstoppable power. So this really drives a point home on how important the outcome of the Georgia runoff elections is. Now, I would imagine if the Democrats are able to pick up the last 2 seats in the Senate during the Georgia runoff elections, then Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer would actually be promoted to Senate Majority Leader. And then at that point, you'd have 50 seats held by Republicans in the Senate and the other 50 seats held by Democrats in the Senate. However, you would have the tiebreaker being Kamala Harris as the new incoming vice president, who is a Democrat. So essentially, you'd have a Democratic House, you'd have a Democratic Senate, and you'd also have a Democratic president and vice president. And so if this happens, the game changes quite a bit, and I can see very little reason why Americans would not be able to collect on the remaining $1,400 in stimulus checks, and it would only open the gate for additional stimulus checks and additional stimulus packages to be passed for the American people. So I can't wait to see what happens next week, but of course, I will definitely keep you guys updated on all of the latest news on stimulus check updates and stimulus package updates, you know, the latest on the Georgia runoff elections. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. And if you guys are looking for any state, you know, city, local stimulus programs, definitely check the description down below, you know, for links on those opportunities. But that's all for the stimulus check update and stimulus package update. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.